Welcome back to another Big Bad Review. I'm your host, Cam of the Big Bad Beetle Bros and Stronger Than Before, a Zio Rewatch podcast. Today we are looking at two Lightning Collection figures. These are the final two Lightning Collection figures from the Zio series that I had yet to acquire. I actually got them together because they are, despite not needing to be, intrinsically tied to one another. If you want to have the complete of one, you gotta have the other, more or less. So, without further ado, this is the Zio Blue Ranger and Zio Cog of the Lightning Collection. So these were the hardest ones for me to snag. Not this guy. This guy is the one Lightning Collection figure that is in every goddamn hobby shop and nerd store in Kansas City. I swear I've seen at least one, if not two or three of this guy at literally 4 stores in one mall, plus 3 other stores I went to in the city when I was just looking for random stuff and selling some items at a couple like vintage stock type places, if you're familiar with those. Obviously Zio Blue, not going to find him in person anywhere. And the rest was mostly newer stuff. Some of the Dino Charge Blue figures and, stuff like that. Time Force, I think, popped up a couple times. Yeah, but the Zio Cog, super common to find, like $20, easily anywhere. I'm pretty sure it even went up for sale still during Prime Day this week, at the time of recording on Amazon. But Zio Blue runs you easily upwards of 100 to 150, if not more, on like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, wherever you're looking. It's super early in the Lightning Collection line, I think in wave 1 or 2 maybe even, which is part of the reason why you need to get the Zio Cog if you want to have your Zio Blue complete. As you may be able to see, Zio Blue has a bunch of the accessories that all of the other Rangers have. He's got his blaster, he's got his saber, extra pair of fists, grabby trigger hands on the hands, alternate head of Rocky there, and actually a unique blast effect that the other ones don't come with. You look on the back of the package, yep, he's got a little blast effect for the tip of the sword kind of thing, which is funky, and I understand why they didn't include that for any of the others. But no unique combining weapon, no tonfas, whatever they were called in the show, but there are no little hand axe tonfas. Zio Cog comes with the tonfas. They don't show him like holding them or anything, which I think would have been kind of fun if the packaging had the Cog randomly like stealing Rocky's weapons. But yeah, so this is just a plain Cog. It is identical to the silver Cog that came in the 2-pack with the silver and the red. There's nothing that I've seen that's unique. Doesn't come with a blast effect. Just has an extra set of I'm gonna get your hands, and then the short and longer staff and the pop-up head. But so you can kind of army build with these guys if you want to have like half a dozen of these hand axes. It is actually easier to find these hand axes loose on eBay for like $10-12 than it is to find Zio Blue literally anywhere. So yeah, that's that. But I'm going to kind of jump right into it. I feel like I'm kind of burning through this intro a little bit, but we've literally done all of the Lightning Collection Zio figures, so you guys know what to expect from the box art and all that stuff. It's the same style of amazing box art we've come to love from the Lightning Collection. There's nothing else to write home about on these guys, so I'm going to go ahead and crack both of these open, but I'm not going to review the Zio Cog since I already did that in the 2-pack. So, let's go! And we're back. Alright, so I have here with me Rocky, the Zio Blue Ranger, and a random little Cog spooking around in the background, just creeping around back there. Yeah, I dig the Cog figures. They get into some nice creepy little poses and stuff. Love using these little stands with them. But we're here to talk about mostly Zio Blue today. This being one of the earliest and officially the oldest Lightning Collection figure that I have, from earliest in the line. I can see now quite a bit where a lot of improvement has happened throughout the line. A problem I think a lot of people have noticed is that you will have figures released throughout the Lightning Collection that are part of the same series that come out and end up with pretty not super noticeable but slightly significant differences in quality and build structure and design, I guess, in a way, that you kind of only start to notice a lot later on. I mean, one of the things would be that I think Zeo Pink Cat is the only one that has black soles on her shoes. None of the others do. And then yeah, like just some other details of like the gold on the collars being different colors or a different shade depending on which figure you get your hands on and when they were released. But also the texture of the paint and the plastic on Zeo Blue is a little, I don't know, almost feels like grittier, more of a satin, less of a, or more of a matte, less of a satin maybe. I'm not sure if I'm describing that correctly. Yeah, it's more texture-y. I don't know. That's a weird way to describe it, and that's probably something exclusive to me and my proclivities, I guess. But I've just, like, after having literally just finished my review of Zeo Green, I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a different hand feel of the plastic and paint than Zeo Green and red and gold. But as always, the detailing on these guys is just great. I love the circuitry design. Comes across really well. Always thankful that it carries over into the arm joints. At least on the male molds, pink and green or pink and yellow don't have that, but they kind of make it up for it with a collar type thing. Yeah, you guys know what these figures look like. Real quick, we're going to go over some posability. So you've got 360 on the head, a little bit of down, a little bit of up, no side to, or no like tilting, just kind of bobbles a little bit. That's okay. A real nice clean cut on the silver line on blue that I'm noticing. Paint on that silver looks slightly more noticeable than on the others. I'm not sure if that's because it stands out more that it's a painted line and not a beveled edge or anything, but I don't know. I'm okay with it. I will say the kind of like line that makes it almost look like a cowl, and I'm sure that it's because there's a triangle pointing down at it. The separation from the top of the visor to the bottom half where the mouth bit is way more noticeable on blue than on any of the other figures, in my opinion. Probably something to do with the color and the fact that there's a giant triangle that points down right towards the mouth. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just me again. But posability on the arms to go quite a ways up and then basically flush down, but not quite, into a semi-natural position. And you can go 360 there at the shoulder, 360 at the upper bicep, and then a over 90 full curl at the elbow, and then rotation of the hand with a little bit of wiggle room for posability, but not a ton unless you pull the peg out a little bit. We have those awesome inner shoulder chest joints, and then we've got upper torso back, upper torso there, 360, and then a little bit of side to side as well. Lower torso ab crunch goes back pretty far, and it is kind of a soft ratchet. You can hear it click, and then down pretty far. No hip joints per se, but on the upper thigh, you get almost a split, and then basically a 90 out for the kick. Does not like to go back much at all. And then 360 at the upper thigh. And then a full, more than over 90, like almost a 180 curl on the knee. Boot does have a rotating calf there. And then the ankle goes backing out a little bit, but it's really not wanting to on mine, so I'm gonna, oh, there we go. Yeah, really, really tight joint there. And then you've got that little bit of swivel there on the ankle for posability. Again, like my biggest selling point for me with these guys is that they are incredibly posable. The most posable Zeo figures that have ever been released. I don't think SH Figuarts or Shoto or any of those have done O-Ranger yet. So these are probably the most posable O-Ranger / Zeo figures that you can get. Now accessories. Accessories are always fun with these guys. Of course we have the Zeo blade, the saber, the sword. But with Zeo Blue exclusively, for whatever reason, we have this little Crimzeek looking ball of plasma that has a hole down the center of it. You can kind of barely see that in the camera. That you can jam the saber point into. And I do think it goes all the way through the center, so I think if you really tried, maybe you could pierce it all the way through and have it show up in the middle of the blade somewhere, but I'm just going to kind of put it at the point there. So, you know, there's that. I do think that they included this with blue because they realized they didn't do the hand axes, and it was too late to make up for that, so they made an extra accessory because typically to achieve or stay under a certain price point of a toy, Hasbro or any other company will have to have a certain number of accessories or posability points or whatnot on with a figure. So if you have a figure like this that's you know, say $25 to $35 retail, you've got to have X number of accessories, and since they didn't include his main weapons, they had to include a blast effect. Now, granted, all the rest also came with blast effects, but they were smaller, so I don't know. Hand blaster, no blast effect for this guy. I don't think. Yeah, you can't really make the big one work on that, but that's okay. Then it comes with fist hands, so that's cool and good and awesome. It does have specifically a blaster finger on a blaster hand, holdy hand. So I would probably want to trade that out if and when I pose him with the hand axes, because that is what I will pose him with. Then we've got the Rocky head. Now I think this might be right next to Tray of Triforia in terms of my least favorite of the. There we go. Least favorite of the human heads. That is really tight on there. Okay. Really tight on that ball joint. Uncomfortable. Does not, in my opinion, look very much like Steve Cardenas. Does not really look very much like Rocky in any of his appearances. Yeah, bit of an odd duck on this one. Did get his little earring, his little 90s earring. He had a fairly plain haircut, just a short kind of a close cropped cut. But yeah, just something about the face structure. Might be the chin or the lips, I'm not really sure. Just does not stand out to me as Rocky or as Steve from that era. I don't hate it. I don't display these guys with the human heads on them, so it's not a huge thing to me when the head sculpt don't look great. I know people complain about it mostly because it's a huge addition to the price point, because it's very costly to do those head sculpts. And honestly, they should look as good as they can. It is still, other than probably, I think there might be metallic armor red that had a Steve Cardenas head sculpt that it came with, because it was a season 2 or 3, or season 3, I guess, Mighty Morphin head. And then there's the Ninja Ranger, the Ninja Power Red Ranger has a Steve Cardenas head with the the headband on. So there are other Steve Cardenas heads if you really wanted to get a better one. I'm pretty sure those all came out later and they do look a little better. Yeah, and then the accessories that the COG stole are these little Tonfa baton axe weapons that I really like. Again, just like with the hand axe, I think these are pretty solid. For Rocky, obviously, they don't really translate from any of his Mighty Morphin weapons, because he was red, so he had the power sword. But, you know, for if you're going to say that these were like the Blue Rangers, you know, these are what Billy would have had if he was the Blue Ranger, that would have made sense from the Tricera lance, in a way, because it kind of broke apart into 2 pieces and would have had a little pointy edge like that. Like I said, I'm going to switch out this hand because I don't like the little trigger finger on there for holding these. But I like Tonfas. I think they're really cool. I think they're a very dynamic weapon to have. Been a handful of Power Rangers that have had Tonfa weapons. Yeah, very fun. Lots and lots of posability. Lots and lots of cool pose options there. With got the COG coming at Rocky, gonna have him at the ready with the Tonfas, so that's pretty fun. Yeah, again, just being a fan of Zeo, being a fan of these suit designs. I know they weren't everybody's favorite and aren't everybody's favorites, and that's fine. To each their own bad taste, as my great grandfather used to say. But I really dig the Zeo figures. I really dig the Zeo line. And I dig this one. You know, all the weird hand feel of the plastic aside, again, that could totally just be me and my weirdness. And the lackluster head sculpt, and the fact that you have to get a secondary figure to get the Tonfas. At least, like, it's a COG. You can army build those. I now have 3 that are going to be sitting up on the shelf with all of my Zeo figures, so, you know, that looks cool. If we ever get any Machine Empire figures, that would be really fun. It'd be fun to get a Prince Sprocket or something like that, or King Mondo. I don't know if we ever will. It really feels like most of the monsters have been relegated to Mighty Morphin, and then, like, you get the main bad guy from some bigger seasons, like Mesogog, which I think we only got Mesogog because we're getting Dino Thunder, and Dino Thunder is a Tommy season. And if you got Mesogog, you gotta have Tommy Oliver in the Black Ranger suit. So that makes sense. I don't really know if we'll get any Machine Empire stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really pleased with this guy. I don't have much else to say. Yeah, that's kind of it. This guy's hard to find, so if you find one popped up in a store somewhere and you see it for, like, if you see this guy for under $60, snag him at the very least for resale value, I would say. This is probably one of the few figures that I have that I think, had I gotten him earlier when I wanted to, when it first came out, would have been kind of an investment, because you can now sell this guy pretty easily for $100, if not more. Obviously, shipping and all that jazz you got to throw in there too. But yeah, huge fan of it. Real happy now that I've got the whole set. I will do a little photo shoot with my entire set here eventually. I'll get a better backdrop going or some jazz like that. But with that, I've been Cam of the Big Bad Beetle Bros and Stronger Than Before, a Zero Rewatch podcast. If you want to find me and all the things that I do, you can head on over to projectlouder.net, where you can find all the fine podcasts and horror blogs and movie reviews and TV reviews, and yeah, a lot of stuff like that is over there. You can find Big Bad Beetle Bros at Beetle Bros Pod on Twitter and Big Bad Beetle Bros on Facebook Instagram and here at YouTube. And you can find Stronger Than Before at Stronger Than Before Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We're not on Twitter or anywhere else for that podcast. Project Louder is also on all of those social media pages. Not incredibly active on anything other than Facebook, but that's Project Louder Network. Everywhere that you can find us, which is just Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, because none of us have yet dived into Mastodon or Threads or Blue Sky or any of those other myriad of apps that have popped up in the wake of Twitter collapsing in on itself. So, yeah, that's where you can find us, and obviously here on YouTube. We've got some fun stuff coming up for extra videos and stuff like that. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.